People come in many different shapes, sizes, and colors based on your parents' genes, your grandparents' genes, and other ancestors that you may or may not know about. But people tend to forget an important piece of themselves, which is the brain. So in this speech, I'll be giving you a brief overview of the brain, the two main parts of the brain, and how it affects you, how you think, and what careers you might want to take depending on what part you're good at. So, the brain has two main hemispheres, the left and the right brain, and each hemisphere contains a specific characteristic. And the left brain, in most cases, contains an individual's speech control. And the left brain also contains your analytical skills with, your words and numbers. So that means that people that are left brain dominant tend to be proficient at math and science and are also good at understanding written instructions than the right brain individuals, which is also a double-edged sword, which means the people that are left brain dominant lack in tasks that involve creative and abstract concepts. The right hemisphere seems to control the more creative part in an individual. People that are right brain dominant respond easier to instructions that are more hands-on rather than written ones like the left-brained individuals. Right brain dominant people solve problems with their hunches and looking for patterns in certain problems. So that shows that they will go towards what they feel more than basing all their decisions on logic. The right brain individuals are always proficient in creative tasks like drawing, painting, and all the art type subjects. And the right brain also likes to play with images and making up ideas and bringing them up in a new way. Just because the two different hemispheres doesn't mean that a person is restricted to either using one or the other. There are individuals that are creative and practical because they are able to use their brain equally. There are many ways to figure out if you're either left or right brain dominant. The fastest way is to find a hemispheric dominance test online. By taking the hemispheric dominance test, all that you need to do is answer a few questions about yourself, and the results should just show up to you in an instant. Also, figuring out whether you're left or right brain dominant, you should figure out what type of careers you might fit into easier. There are aptitude tests that contain the right kind of skills you will need for a particular job. Left brain dominant people usually go into jobs that require logical, sequential, and analytical skills. Jobs like lawyers, chemists, mathematicians, accountants are just a few of the jobs that left brain dominant people may have an interest in. They would also be more suited for jobs like this because of the logic and analytical skill they have. So they don't have to think creatively like the right brain people. They can just do everything just based on logic. The right brain dominant individuals are more suited for jobs like musicians, actors, athletes, and artists. These jobs require body sensing, rhythm, and color imagery skills. The creative people, like the right brain dominant, are proficient at art. So, which art can be many different things, could be dancing, etc. So, but since I also talked about how one can be very proficient in the left and right brain, The very few people that use both hemispheres equally tend to be inventors. So to be an inventor, you have to think of stuff that's new, practical. So being practical is the way of how the left brain hemisphere people think, and thinking up of new ways how to do it is a skill that a right brain person would use. So if you're very smart and then you're very creative, you might think about being an inventor someday, who knows? And then you can make a lot of money. As you can see, the right brain hemispheres and the left brain hemisphere can determine the very person you turn out to be. It doesn't mean that being left-brained is better than being right-brained or vice versa. It just means that you'll be better at some things compared to another person depending on whether or not you're left or right brain. So if you're right brain, you'll be good at something like this math, which I'm kind of almost bad at. Or if you're right brain, you'd be good at making something like this, the art style. This is something I definitely couldn't do. I am solely a left brain individual. I can't draw or whatever. So in this speech, I've done a brief overview on how the left and the right brain hemisphere, how they affect your train of thought, and also what careers you want to dive into, whether or not you're left or right brain. And also how to figure out if you're left or right brain. I mean, you probably figured out by the end of this speech, but if you're still uncertain, just go online and figure it out. It's very simple, easy. Just look up the left and right brain hemisphere test, and you'll find many different websites that would help. So hopefully this information is helpful to you, and I hope you find out something about you that you did not know before.